Got a banger. Listen, this is something to write your mama about. We have a New York police officer on trial. This police officer, young man, is on a scooter trying to get away. This guy right here, I'm going to start the video in just a minute. As he's driving down the sidewalk to pull off and take off, he's coming down on his scooter, right? Getting away. This cop grabs an ice cooler full of ice and, 50, 60 pounds, maybe even a little bit heavier. Ice coolers get heavy. Picks it up on his shoulders to head level. And as he comes by in the scooter, he throws it and hits the young man on the side of the head. I mean, just boom, full blown, bam. Hits the ground with his head, slides under. He hit so hard and fast that his whole body just went limp and slid under a car. And that's where he died. This cop didn't, try to just grab him off the bike, hit him off the bike. All he had to do was bump him a little bit. He would have came off the bike. No, this guy takes a whole cooler. Now he's thinking his excuse was, oh, he was gonna hit somebody with the scooter. It's a scooter, and I was trying to save lives. It's always about. It's never the truth, man. You guys were upset he was getting away, and you were mad and pissed off for whatever reason, and you said, I'm gonna pick this cooler up and just as he's coming, you know, 25 miles an hour down the thing and slam. Come on, anybody could tell me you could kill somebody, right? New York police officers never. It's been, I think, the 60s or 70s that a New York police officer's ever been convicted on this type of brutality, and there's been some murder cases and stuff, but anyways, we'll get into the history. Listen, chat, we are about to get to the truth, man. This man is guilty. They had like 2,000 cops, right? Oh, it was a last minute thing. Cops have to make these decisions. I'm tired of the blue interviewing the blue, trying to investigate the blue, take care of the blue. You know what, man? We got to start thinking about people's lives. This young man was young. So please, chat, listen, man. As our videos start growing and they're becoming more intense because we're starting to gather content now. I told you we're a new channel. We're really trying to grow here. I'm trying to give you as much information of what we stand for, also on our page and on anything that I share, to let you know, man, that our hearts are in the right place. And if you have any content that you think that I would be interested in, remember social issues, even because I'm a believer. We get into investigations of the spiritual, the all kinds of stuff, the good, bad, and the ugly. But please subscribe and help us hit our first 1,000, guys. We need you, and we will always need you, because what did I say? You are here on Truth Tellers. You are simply the judge and the jury. You are the jury on this case right now. So please make your comments. Please. That is so important to us. Your comments are so important to us because it shows us where we're at. It shows us things we got to work on. But most of all, you are the ones to tell us guilty or not guilty. Okay, guys? So as we get into this, I'll stop the video here and there just to talk and to hash out a few things once in a while. Okay, guys? Love you. thank you for being on here, and please share this with a friend, our channel, and let them know, hey man, this is a believer, it's a brother. And I always tell everybody, if you share, if you subscribe, I'll subscribe right back to your channel. You give love, I share, I'll give it right back. No, no, let's not, no more talking. Let's do this, guys. Love ya. Let's go.
The thin blue line of protection never ceases to amaze me. Before we talk about this story, where 11,000 cops signed a petition to keep this NYPD Sergeant Eric Duran out of jail after killing a guy with an ice chest, I want to remind Americans who may not know just how historically corrupt the New York City Police Department actually is. And
now I'm not gonna just do this all the time, but listen, what really bothers me is that somebody died. And somebody died because of what this man's actions were. It wasn't because the man had a gun. It wasn't mad because the guy was attacking the police. He wasn't threatening police officers' lives. He was a young man on a scooter just trying to get away. So there was no, get a gun. There was no, oh, well, none of that stuff. Nothing. They were chasing him for a few things, whatever. Maybe it's probably drugs, whatever. Usually it's drugs with these young guys. But they live in New York. You know what? If he gets away right now, we'll get him a couple hours. We'll get him tomorrow morning. You guys, probably know the guy. Instead, they make these decisions that kill people and people die from because they just feel like I don't get in trouble. I guarantee you, because they believe they're going to get away with it no matter what, and it needs to stop. We're talking about somebody's life. Life is not valued when it comes there to a police officer. What they will threaten your life if you just make them have a bad day. I mean, it's that simple. You're ruining my day. And now I'm gonna beat you up. I'm gonna do something to you. I'm gonna make sure you remember me. And they talk that way. So here we go. Sorry, guys.
has been. Not only is the NYPD the largest police force in the world, not just in the United States, but the world, it's also known as the most unscrupulous and abhorrent. The Knapp Commission was a New York City investigation into widespread police corruption in the NYPD back in the 1970s, triggered by
70s. I knew
whistleblower
it.
Frank Serpico and others. They concluded that there was a profound and systemic stream of corruption throughout the NYPD made up of grass eaters and meat eaters. The grass eaters were officers who passively accepted bribes. They were in the majority, while the meat eaters were the aggressive, corrupt cops. And there were fewer of them, but they caused more community wide damage. The department had failed to police itself, and corruption was so pervasive that it was considered accepted and acceptable in many units. The report led to major reforms, including the creation of the Internal Affairs Bureau. And with the Internal Affairs Bureau in place,
that's when it started,
corruption
chat.
subsided in the NYPD, right? No, it didn't. Corruption got so bad and grew so out of control that it led to the Mullen Commission in the 1990s. The Mullen Commission was a separate investigation into police corruption in the NYPD, formed after new allegations emerged in the early 1990s. It found that corruption had evolved so bad since the Knapp era that it was no longer mostly about bribes taken by grass eaters. It now centered on serious criminal activity by many rogue cops, including drug dealing, theft, brutality, murders, and a protection racket for organized.
Do you hear this, chat? These cops were committing murders. They were drug dealing. They had crews out selling for them. They were hiding dead bodies. I mean, this New York City, man, is one of the one of the worst. That's why there's so many police officers, so many people. But think about the corruption that went on and on and on. I mean, things were created there that have affected police departments all around the world. I mean, think about that.
Crime. The report concluded that the NYPD's internal controls had completely broken down, allowing willful blindness by commanders and recommended strong independent oversight. The 1994 Mullen Commission concluded that NYPD corruption was not caused by isolated rotten apples, but was a systemic failure fueled by a culture of silence, protecting corrupt officers, and targeting narcotics. It highlighted that corruption had shifted from bribery to active police criminality, like stealing drugs and money. Corruption was pervasive in high crime, patrol level precincts and supported by the thin blue wall of silence. Corruption was no longer just about taking bribes like in the 1970s. It was about officers actively committing crimes, including drug trafficking, theft, and selling police information. They found that the NYPD failed to supervise officers, ignored warning signs, and the Internal Affairs Bureau was essentially passive. They did nothing to police themselves. The commission found a direct link between brutality and corruption, often viewing violence against citizens as a rite of passage to corruption. Basically, they were frat boys with guns, badges, utility belts, and batons. The few honest officers they had were intimidated or discouraged from reporting corruption, creating a culture that prioritized loyalty to the thin blue line over integrity. The Mullen Commission concluded in July of 1994, quote, "Today's corruption is not the corruption of Knapp Commission days. Corruption then was largely a corruption of accommodation, of criminals and police officers giving and taking bribes, buying and selling protection.
Yeah.
Corruption was, in essence, consensual. Today's corruption is characterized by brutality, theft, abuse of authority, and active police criminality." In other words, the NYPD wasn't this organization with a few bad apples. The entire bushel was corrupt. And if you think that criminality and corruption within the NYPD has stopped or slowed down at all, you've got your head in the sand. And that brings us to this recent NYPD story. More than 11,000 law enforcement officers from across the globe have signed a petition asking a Bronx judge not to throw this NYPD sergeant convicted of killing a fleeing subject by hurling a cooler at him in prison. Attorneys for Sergeant Eric Duran presented the signatures to Judge Guy Mitchell, who's handling the case in state court.
Chad, think about it. A cooler. Not a baton, even though batons, you can't use them, only special circumstances, in fact, I think they got rid of them because they can really hurt somebody. You have a gun, if you're going to have to really stop someone, then, your gun's there. But, yeah, a cooler. And the guy is traveling like 20 miles an hour. He's coming at you, and the cop's standing on the side like he's just waiting for him to pass. You know what I'm saying? He's not like being like, oh, there's a cop right there. Like I was trying to avoid. The guy didn't even see him, and he jumps out and he wham. I mean, throws this thing hard. And so him coming, and at the same time, I mean, you'll see it. You'll see it. It's a cooler. You killed somebody using a cooler.
Duran, who was found guilty of manslaughter in the 2023 death of 30-year-old Eric Dupre,
Yes.
was sentenced on Thursday, and we'll get to that sentence in a second.
Yes.
The petition asked for a non-incarceration sentence for Duran.
What?
Eric Dupre was fleeing a drug bust at Aqueduct Avenue near West 192nd Street in Kingsbridge Heights on August 23, 2023, when Duran lifted the cooler loaded with ice and drinks and used both hands and hurled it at the suspect. Dupre, who wasn't wearing a helmet,
hands.
lost
Look how fast this guy's coming.
Swiped a tree and was thrown off the scooter. He struck his head on the curb and landed under a parked vehicle.
God.
In the petition, officers said Duran shouldn't be punished for making a split-second decision cops are forced to make every day. Quote, the job of protecting the public from criminals is inherently dangerous and carries with it unforeseen risks. As law enforcement officers, we cannot be expected to effectively do our jobs while knowing that a good faith decision made in a rapidly evolving situation might cost us our freedom. That possibility is worsened by the fact that the career criminals we risk our lives and safety to apprehend often never see the inside of a prison. Duran is facing between 5 and 15 years in prison, and he's already been fired by the NYPD. Attorney Jonathan Roberts, who's representing Dupre's family, said in a statement, the Dupre family has waited a long time for accountability. The family asks only that the sentence reflect the gravity of what was done. The justice system is supposed to protect all New Yorkers. It should treat the loss of Eric's life with the seriousness that it deserves. Following the conviction in February.
So what he just said is so important, guys. Okay, first thing that bothers me, the earlier statement said that this officer should not be held accountable by making a quick decision or a last minute decision, doesn't matter, decision, to pick up that ice cooler and hurl it at him with two hands, hard as he could, was coming at him at least 30 miles an hour. I didn't think he was going that fast. He was going pretty fast. Knowing that if I pick this heavy cooler, we had to pick it up two hands and hurl it at him, I could really hurt this guy, man. And he stands there holding it there for a minute or so, a minute or half a minute, whatever it was. He had time to think. But he shouldn't be judged for his decision. Listen, guys, we got to get back to society, man, that every New Yorker, every citizen in America is treated equal. We're equals. Yes, some of us have, government jobs or certain jobs. We get that. But that doesn't, if the training they received and all the gig gats and chats that they have hanging on them, he didn't have to pick up a cooler. He doesn't have to pick up a cooler. Think about it. They have cars. They have batons. They have they have guns. They have the shotguns, or the stun guns. They have so many things that they could have just boxed the kid in. I don't know. Just so many things that could be done. That makes no sense. I'm gonna pick up a cooler and I'm gonna hit. If he would have voiced that in front of the person next to him, or they would have said, "Don't do it." No. Bad choice. I would hope so. And that's another thing. I never hear and never see police holding each other accountable before something happens. Like if someone, if an officer is acting like a jerk with a civilian, very rarely you see an officer say, "Hey, guys, come on," or "Hey, John, come here, pull him over there, take him over." What? I think I've seen him maybe once or twice. They let these guys, whoever's in charge, he's in charge. He wants to act like a jerk. He wants to he if somebody's out of control on a stop, and there's 3 or 4 other cops there, two, you know, all 3 of those other cops should need to step up and say, "Hey, come here, buddy, come here, real quick. I want to give you and this. I want to ask you a question. Play it off in front of the people, and pull that and let that guy get a breather for a minute, because he's gonna commit a crime, and we're gonna get sued and things." And I'm telling you right now, if anything goes down and you're on that stop, and somebody dies on that stop that you're on, you're gonna be part of it. You're going down with it. That's why it's important to hold each other accountable. I think this day of age, you guys, everybody needs to be held accountable. But police officers to be able to kill some, no, come on, man. I can see, man. Some even these shootings are just sometimes just right on the edge. They're right on the edge of murder, man. It's still murder. But if you're protecting yourself and your buddies and people and civilians around you, that's a whole different ballgame. And the way he tries to justify it, they're thinking, oh, he was on a scooter and he was going after somebody, and I was trying to stop him from. Come on, bro. Come on. A scooter? Come on. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Roberts said the verdict, quote, validates the family's longstanding position that this tragedy stemmed from an unjustified and dangerous choice made by a police officer in a
Bottom
non-violent
line.
situation. About 7,000 NYPD officers signed the petition. Other signatories included federal law enforcement cops from Chicago, Phoenix, Milwaukee, Orlando, Los Angeles, Dallas, and Atlanta.
No big
Cops
deal.
from Scotland Yard and the Ottawa Police Service also signed. And just to give you one example of how unconstitutional Sergeant Eric Duran was,
Listen to
he
this.
arrested over 50 people for possession of a firearm that's supposed to be protected under the Second Amendment, a right that's not supposed to be infringed. So he's a capital offender in the infringement department. Vince Vailong, the president of the NYPD's Sergeants Benevolent Association, said stripping him of his freedom will send a message to every single police officer throughout the country. He did his job. He did the same thing every police officer would do in that situation. After this,
listen to what he says here. This guy says after, like, if he gets convicted, what other police officers gonna do. And when he says this, I agree. I hope so. I hope they do this. Watch this. Listen to what he says, and I think it's what needs to be done.
every cop is going to be worried if their next decision is going to cost them their freedom. Yeah, every corrupt cop should be worried about that at all times.
All times.
Valong said of the former sergeant, he grew up in these neighborhoods. He's the one you want patrolling those neighborhoods. It's a shame the kid died, but he put himself in that situation.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't an innocent victim. This guy maintains that Duran's conviction was unjust. Duran killed a guy, dude. Murdered him in broad daylight. He went so far as to say, I sat in that courtroom and don't get how the judge rendered this decision. People out there know that Duran did the right thing. During the bench trial, prosecutors argued that using 2 hands to lift the heavy cooler showed that Duran knew how dangerous striking the subject with the weighty object could be.
Oh, definitely.
Duran, for his part, testified that the cooler wasn't heavy. Duran testified that he was just trying to protect other police officers when he hurled the red and white cooler at Dupre during a buy and bust operation. Cops said Dupre, who was a delivery driver, was buying drugs. His family claims that he fled the scene because his scooter wasn't registered. Despite all the widespread systemic corruption in the NYPD in the last 55 years, Duran, believe it or not, is the first NYPD officer to be taken to trial for killing a suspect since Hugh Berry was indicted for killing Deborah Danner in 2016. Thankfully, in spite of the 11,000 signature petition by all these law enforcement officers,
right.
they did hand down a sentence on Duran. This is the latest.
Not much, but
Punishment handed down for the ex-NYPD sergeant.
Eric Duran was sentenced to 3 to 9 years in prison. More than 11,000 officers signed a petition pushing for Duran to not go to jail.
30-year-old Eric Dupree killed in 2023 after Duran tossed a picnic cooler at him as Dupree left on a scooter.
Well, Mike and Sade, the Sergeants Union called today one of the darkest days in the history of our profession. And Sergeant Duran's lawyers argued against incarceration, asking the judge not to imprison Duran for a decision he made in just 2.5 seconds. But the judge said that Duran did act recklessly. For the victim's family, they say they're just content they got justice.
Justice for
Eric Dupre's mother and supporters emerged from the courthouse chanting, satisfied with the sentence. Moments earlier, former NYPD Sergeant Eric Duran shed tears as he learned his fate. 3 to 9 years in prison for manslaughter.
come on.
it is a very seldom occurrence that justice prevails when a cop kills a black and brown person.
3 to 9 years for manslaughter? What kind of sentence do you think they'd hand down to you or I?
But today,
Think about
in
it,
the
guys.
Bronx, we got it right.
Duran opted for a non-jury trial and was convicted by a judge of killing Eric Dupre in August 2023. The 30-year-old was on a scooter trying to evade arrest when Duran threw a cooler at him, causing Dupre to lose control and hit his head. Duran testified he feared Dupre was about to run over other officers and a pedestrian, but the judge disagreed, saying the officer acted out of frustration that a drug suspect was about to get away, saying police could have made the arrest at a later time. Part of the judgment that Duran's lawyers will appeal.
Wasn't like, so, oh my God, this is the first time someone's getting away. Let me stop them. It was, holy cow, here's a motorcycle. It's about to hit these guys. What do I do? Boom, boom. Over.
Bunch of frickin' liars.
Come
Against genocide,
on.
Duran's lawyers stressed the 15-year veteran is a Bronx native and resident who became a cop to protect the most vulnerable in the community where he grew
Yeah,
up. At
sure.
one point, Duran spoke directly
Your
to
record
Dupre's
don't
mother
say
in
that.
Spanish, saying, "Ma'am, I'm really sorry for the loss of your child. I never wanted this to happen. I pray for you and your family." The apology drawing this reaction from Dupre's partner.
They got to say sorry to God, not to me. I'm not God. That's it. I don't have nothing else to say. I'm just happy for justice. Justice got served.
Dozens of police officers attended the proceeding. More than 11,000 signed an online petition asking for probation instead of incarceration.
Probation instead of incarceration, and I bet they showed up for intimidation.
The judge
Oh,
said
yeah.
the sentence should
Oh,
deter
yeah.
other cops
They
from
do
engaging
that.
in reckless behavior. But the Sergeants Union says it sends the wrong message.
When you have to sit there and you have to make decisions in a split-second time,
Stop
what's
it.
going to happen when every single police officer turns around and says, well, maybe I shouldn't make that. Maybe I shouldn't make that decision. Maybe I shouldn't stop that guy.
They should
maybe you
think that
shouldn't,
way.
Since most of your stops are for victimless crimes. And yeah, if you commit a crime in uniform, you should go to jail.
Well, Duran was fired upon his conviction. His lawyers have already filed an appeal, and today his lawyers asked the judge to allow him to remain free pending an appearance before that appellate court. The judge denied that request, and Duran was taken into custody.
Yes.
So finally, a murderous cop goes to jail. But don't worry, because he's going to be treated just fine by the jail staff there in New York. Leave your thoughts.
Okay, chat. So listen here. What do you feel in your chats? Put your thoughts there. Remember, you're our jury. Was he guilty in your eyes? Or should he have gotten probation instead of an eviction? I believe eviction, not probation. I believe this was a murder because the lack of not just choice, But as a grown man, knowing that this ice cooler can definitely makes the minute you pick up something that heavy and you have to lift it with two hands, and knowing that you're gonna, let's say you just throw it at somebody, it's gonna hurt them, but it could kill somebody coming at you at 25 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, and then you hurl it at them at their head. I mean, obviously, boom, got knocked out, whatever. I don't know exactly what happened. I know, but I know that he died. So, you know, these these this is not justified. It was a bad decision, and you can't go, well, you made a bad decision. Cops are out there just trying to do their best, and we got to stop this, because all it does for them. Now here's the other side. You say, well, if we convict them, then every cop's just gonna be so like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that, or oh, that's what we need. He should have thought about what he was doing with that ice cooler. He had no business picking up. Cops have no business picking up anything unless they are in a dire place of trying to escape, to save their own lives. But that wasn't the case here. This cop made a bad decision, and you need to be held accountable on the job. And I believe we're headed that way, and police need to start thinking, like he said, and I hope they do. They need to start second guessing their decisions, because when you're making decisions based on whatever I do, it's gonna be a slap on the wrist. You're creating killers now. Because if they know they can pull that trigger, blah, 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 and they can find some type of justification in it, it's just going to it's going to be bad again. It's going to turn into 1990s. But this lands out, Chad. Let's do this. Help us, please. Help us by just simply subscribing. Cost you nothing. I always tell you guys, I invite you into my home. As you come in, please say hello, make a comment, let me know. And also, as our judge, our jury, as our jury, not our judge and jury, make that you guys go ahead and let us know how you felt about the whole case. And then, yes, at the same time, please subscribe. If you are not a subscriber and this is your first time here, please, I always say this, you're a visitor once, after that, you're family, man. Let us know, hey, it's my first time here. Let us know that, I've been here a few times. I enjoy it. I don't enjoy it. Or I wish you would do this. I wish you would do that, whatever. That way I know what to do, because I want to make you guys happy, and I want to make sure we're bringing good content, and you guys are being entertained with truth, not lies. All right, guys. Listen, have a beautiful day, a beautiful week.